What's your name?
Susie.
Hey, Susie. How you doing?
You had spoken of a book earlier, Chosen but Free.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of wondering, because he kind of asked the question I had, but I've always had the question, Judas's role. So my uncle
You always had the
asked
question,
me,
what now?
Judas's role.
Judas's role, yeah.
So my uncle asked me the question. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think he's an atheist, but I'm not sure exactly what he believes. But he asked me, and he says, if God is all-knowing and he knows everything from the beginning to the end, he says, then are we created to go to hell? Like those he creates, and he knows they're going to fall. Does he create them? And I wonder about Judas.
Yeah.
Was he created for that moment?
Yeah,
And
excellent
for hell,
question.
or would God pick another way?
When God creates the universe, he knows how it's going to turn out because he knows all things. So when God creates the universe, he knew Judas would betray him, and he knew that certain people would go to hell. You say, well, why would God create a universe that people would go to hell in? Well, it could be, because some people will say, well, why didn't God create a universe where everyone believes? While that's logically possible, it might not be actually achievable with free creatures. Because by definition, if you're free, you can sin. So it might be that God creates, any universe God creates, people are ultimately going to sin. Okay? So he can't force people to love him because love by definition must be freely given. It can't be forced. This universe could be the universe where the maximum number of people are saved and the minimum number of people are lost. So God creates a universe, and let's just use Judas. Suppose Judas is in hell. He knew Judas was going to go to hell, but Judas freely chose not to trust in Christ. He is getting justice. If God could save Judas, he would have, but Judas didn't want to be saved because Judas did not want to love Christ. He did not want to trust in Christ. So, and God, by the way, can even get his will done through evil, as we mentioned earlier with Joseph. God can get his will done through atheists today. In fact, none of us would be, if you're a Christian in here, you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for atheists. Because I guarantee you there are atheists in your bloodline.
So
you wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't be here.
So then his question, because I kind of talked a little bit about that, and his question would be, then why would he have created them to begin with? If he already knew, why would he have created them?
Well, no, well, because still they're freely going to go their own way. Here's the real question that needs to be asked. Is God justified to create a universe where some people freely reject him? Or is he obligated to create no universe if one person rejects him? And I think the answer is no, he's not obligated to create, or he's not obligated to not create, sorry for the double negative. He's not obligated not to create just because people reject him. He thinks, rightfully so, that he loves everybody, and if some people don't love them back or love him back, then he can still create a universe where some people do love him back. And he's not immoral for doing so. In fact, he is the standard of morality. So you can't argue against God and say, well, God is immoral for doing this, right?